How is everyone doing today? The inquest has begun. Korea have been knocked out at the first hurdle at the World Cup in devastating fashion. That game against South Africa was one of the worst things I've ever witnessed. Seriously, how can Korea screw up against South Africa? All they need to do was get points on the board and weren't able to do it. It really was an abomination, what we saw on that pitch. More than enough quality to get the job done. Managerial decisions in the mud. The manager not picking Son Heung-min from the start of the game proved to be really costly, and Korea got dumped out at the first hurdle. The inquest has begun in terms of the KFA leadership as well. The Korean president has spoken about it. Many other high-profile people have spoken about it. There needs to be big reform at the top of the KFA, starting with Chung Mong-gyu. And we've been saying it for years. We've been saying it for months. He needs to get out. There needs to be a big reform at the top of the KFA to get Korean football back on track. We're going to look at a few tweets here. First and foremost, we're going to look at Heung Min-bo, get out. Angry fans shouting at the which is now the ex-Korea manager, calls for his head, calls for him to leave, which ultimately did happen. Later that day, he resigned himself. But you can see the angry Korea fans letting their feelings know towards who was then the manager of the Korean team. He did an absolutely disgraceful job at this World Cup. There were high hopes for Korea, particularly after that first game against Czech Republic. And the next two games were absolutely a disaster. No other words to describe it. Korean media, actually, in the next one, they grayed out his face in the press conference. That's how angry Korean media are at him, which is crazy. I've never actually seen something like that before. So the Korean media doing its absolute most right now. Broadcaster KBS literally went all the way to Monterrey to investigate the team's hotel, trying to see if the accommodations were to blame for the poor performance against South Africa. To make it worse, they even blurred out Heung Min-bo's face on national TV. The disrespect towards the manager is wild, and rightly so, to be honest. And then this statement came from the manager. He said, "To all of the Korean people who love and support our national team, I would like to genuinely apologize. I'd like to announce that I'll step down as the national team head coach. It was not an easy decision for me to take this role, but once I took it, I thought about nothing else except being responsible until the very last moment. I believed that that was the only way for me to work. As the head coach, no explanation can supersede the ultimate result. I could not bring the result that our people had expected. All responsibilities are with me. I want to thank our coaches and staff who worked with me with one common goal. I stepped down as the national team head coach. However, my heart for Korean football will remain the same. I will now support Korean national team to regain the trust and love of our people." Well, here's the thing. You have the players to play a much more expansive game of football. You've got players like Sonny, you've got players like Hwang In-bom, you've got players like Hwang Ki-chan, you've got players like Lee Kang-in, you've got players like you've got top players that you don't need to play this kind of football that you've been playing. You've also got a mind where you don't need to stick to the same formation every game. Everyone saw you don't need to play three at the back against a South African team that is going to park the bus. You've got the attacking players to go at them full throttle. You've got the quality to do so, man for man, better in every position. There was no need for it. There was no need to take off Sonny at 1-0 down to Mexico when you know he's the one with that X factor that can put the ball in the back of the net. There was no need to not start Sonny against South Africa when you know he hadn't scored in the tournament. And if he would have started that game, I bet you he would have scored in that game, maybe even two. You've seen all the stars come out and scoring in this World Cup. But that was an absolute ridiculous decision. Every decision that has been made pretty much has been made a mockery of. And he's right to step down because he should not be the manager ever again, to be honest. He's come back for a second stint, but it's been a complete disaster. There were reports that well, it wasn't even reports. Jesse March was talking about this himself. He said that he was the front runner. He was the front runner for the national team coach. He had the vision to transform the football program, the culture, and everything. But the KFA said no. And why did the KFA say no? Because they wanted to go for their friends. They wanted to go. We know how close Chung Mung-gyu and Heung-min are. And that is what led this decision. It wasn't a sporting decision. It wasn't a football decision. And we can see the work Jesse March is doing now at Canada. They are now in the last 16, and they are playing some fantastic football. Not with the best players, but they're doing it on tactics, and they're doing it on work rate. He said, and then the tweet went and said, meanwhile, Canada showed greater hunger, desire. Meanwhile, exactly, Canada showed that hunger and desire to bring him in when Korea and the KFA were just like, no, we're going to go for one of our mates and keep it in-house. So even that alone is painful to see the direction that Korean football is going in. And last but not least, we have to go through this post that Sonny has just done on socials as well. He has poured his heart out to the nation and to everyone that loves Korean football like myself. He says, I don't even know where to begin. I can't pretend not to know what's happened, nor do I want to avoid facing reality. First of all, I want to sincerely apologize to the people of South Korea and to all the fans who love Korean football. As someone who loves football myself, if I had watched a match like this, I would have felt deeply disappointed, frustrated and heartbroken. That's why I don't think a single I'm sorry could ever fully express the disappointment and pain our fans are feeling. Even saying these words feels painfully inadequate. Every day, every moment, countless emotions have been crossing my mind. I wanted to make sure I shared at least these thoughts with you all, who have been going through an even harder time than anyone else. This tournament meant more to me than anything. It feels as though the stage of my childhood's dream that I've always spoken about has come crashing down. To be honest, even now, it isn't easy to accept this reality. When I think about far greater disappointment and pain our fans must be carrying, I hesitate to even speak about my own feelings. I believe the emotions you're experiencing are no different to mine. I know how much has been sacrificed for this stage. I also feel an enormous sense of responsibility for not being able to repay this time, this support, unwavering encouragement, and love you have all given us. I am truly, deeply sorry, and to everyone who believed in us, supported us until the very end, and stood by our side, I sincerely thank you. Rather than trying to express everything with words right now, I will do my very best from where I stand to win back the hearts of the people of South Korea and our football fans. I will dedicate my life to football so that I can once again bring you joy. I have never forgotten the promises I made to you. Until the day you call me again, until the day you need me again, I will pour everything I have into preparing myself to return stronger. Lastly, it pains me to ask something of you again in a situation like this, and I feel truly sorry for doing so. But rather than directing excessive criticism and hurt towards all of the players, I sincerely ask you to continue to send your warmth, support, and encouragement, even though I know this is incredibly difficult. Thank you for taking your time to read this long message. I will always love this man, my hero. That was Joel Kim saying, I'll always love this man, my hero, and my captain. And it's actually important to note that this post was, it was posted up, and then he deleted it, and then he added in that last bit right at the end, trying to protect his players, which is the true captain and true leader that Sonny is. And you can see, you can feel the emotion and how he's feeling through these words. And I think the whole of the nation are feeling the same way. There is never, ever doubting Sonny's commitment to any team he's played for, and especially to the national team. The way he loves his country is unmatched by anything, to be honest. And I think nobody should be going at Sonny, and I don't think anyone should be going at any of the players, to be honest. I think they were dealt a bad hand with the manager. It makes no sense if you're losing a game 1-0 to take him off. And it makes no sense when you need points not to start him as well. So Sonny did what he could. He was good in the first game. He should have scored, yeah, fine, but he was getting in the positions and showing the speed. He clocked up crazy speeds for someone of his age. You know, Sonny came to the party, but his party was cut short because he kept getting taken off or not starting. How on earth are you not going to start him in that last game against South Africa? It makes no sense at all. So I think everyone can align with Sonny's message there. I think it's really touching, and he's speaking purely from the heart. So I agree. You know, you shouldn't be going, and nobody should be going at the players. You should be directing it at the people above, directing it at the manager, directing it at the people above the manager. They're the ones that are really to blame here. This was supposed to be Korea's golden chance, golden nation. But it's all been thrown down the drain, and that's unfortunate. You look at the ages of these players now. Not many of them are going to be able to play at the World Cup. Sonny won't. Lee Jae-sung won't. Kim Min-jae going to be old at the next World Cup. Hwang In-bom, he's probably not going to make it to the next World Cup either. If he does, it will be at the very twilight of his career. So it looks as though this manager might have thrown this golden generation down the drain. Let's hope, you know, there are good players coming through for Korea. Let's hope they can bring in a new golden generation. But to not make it out of the groups at this World Cup specifically, when you saw how many teams get through, I think it's disgraceful. It really is disgraceful, and it hurts me for someone who loves and has followed Korean football for so many years now. I just hope Sonny and the team can bounce back from this and be stronger under the next manager, whoever that may be. But that next manager, they need to make serious consideration, and I hope they make the right choice. You know, Jesse March would have been an unbelievable choice. You've seen what he's done for Canadian football. It's time to make the right choice, and it's time for that reform right at the top of the KFA to start as well. Chung Mung-gyu needs to go. The manager's gone now. Let's see what can happen in the future. But let's hope Korea football can go on the up now. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. And hopefully you extend your best wishes to England now. And let's hope England can go far in this tournament and, dare I say it, even win the tournament. But yeah, thank you, everyone, for joining me today. And we'll see you next time.